EDF-6 is a game about aliens invading the planet. They can't be negotiated with, they don't compromise, they're here to kill. You have an option of playing as one of 4 classes. The Ranger, which is a generic army man, the Fencer, who gets a powered exosuit and the heaviest weapons, the Wing Divers, who can fly and use energy weapons, and the Air Raider, who has the special power of the United States discretionary spending. The first 5 of these games have a pretty bare-bones story. It's entertaining, but mostly just a vehicle to move you from mission to mission to shoot more stuff. So, I need to say this up front. EDF-6 is a time travel story. But here's the important part. It absolutely does not present itself like one. The first thing to know is that unlike the other games where each entry is its own story, this is a direct sequel from 5. In 5, we kill Alien God, and most of the Earth's population is wiped out in the process. We pick up 3 years later. Also, they never acknowledge the God thing again, so I guess they retconned that. The war is in a pathetic state. The Earth Defense Force is barely a faction, and the enemies are reduced to worn-down dregs with broken armor and weapons. Immediately, the game makes you wonder, what am I even trying to fight for? The other games would balance between hope for humanity and despair, as the aliens, the primers, continue to show that they have more to throw at us. Here, everything already seems resolved. Knowing where things go, what happens in this first mission is a lot more important than it may seem. We meet the professor. He speaks cryptically about seeing us again and how we'll have time to talk later. We go out and explore the destroyed world until, abruptly, a giant new ship in the shape of a ring descends from the sky. Weirdly though, this ship doesn't attack, nor do any of the ships that fly into it and disappear. The mission just ends. Seemingly nothing has happened, but in the very next mission, things get weird. It's presented as a standard mission, but there's a new alien type you've never seen before. What's even weirder is these aliens are already named, and everyone is acting as though fighting them is a normal part of the war. Put a pin in that, and note the mission name. It's called The Next Day, and it comes directly after Visitors, which is where the ring descends. Carrying on, we eventually decide to launch a desperate final attack on the ring. This is an operation born of spite. At this point, humanity doesn't really believe it can win, but rather they want to take down as much of the alien force as they can. And a city-sized spaceship makes a tempting target. Your team pushes through alien forces, ending up under the ring, where a giant glowing weak spot is waiting. You manage to break it, but the ring goes haywire. Everything fades to white, and you're told that EDF-6 begins now. And this is the beginning, as the very next mission brings you back to one of the first missions in EDF-5. If you're worried that this is all there is to the time travel, let me reassure you, we are just getting started. In 5, you begin as a civilian, who ends up enlisted in the EDF after surviving numerous battles. Your first mission as a proper soldier is called Turning Point. It takes place 5 months after the invasion started, and at this point humanity has already lost 30% of its population. The biggest reason why is that the alien ships that teleport in enemies are seemingly completely invincible. This mission is where you show the world that the ships can be destroyed, because when they open to drop in monsters, they also expose a weak point. If you've ever played a game, you probably think this would be obvious. So let me just remind you, to get directly under a ship, you need to brute force your way through the giant spiders they drop. Maybe that'll help you understand why this took so long. Anyway, they call you Newbie, a nickname that you held for most of 5, and that doesn't seem to be disappearing anytime soon. Only, the soldiers note that maybe you're just a bit too good for a newbie. The next stretch of missions are basically speedrunning through 5. You re-experience some of the more notable missions, and get rapid fire introduced to enemy after enemy. One single thing changes. There is a report of strange ships, and in the next mission, you fight a new type of enemy that wasn't in the original timeline. Surviving battle after battle, the same stalemate is eventually reached, and you jump 3 years into the future, where you once again are greeted by the professor. Things repeat, except this time you're attacked in the middle of the tutorial, and need to fight your way through the base. How could the aliens even know this base exists? From here, it's more or less the same as the start of the game. Ruined world, both armies at their wits' end, and the mission Visitors repeats once again. The giant ring descends down, ships disappear, except now the professor knows what's going on. He knows those ships went back in time, and he wonders if we'll even exist come tomorrow. The next mission is called The Next Day. Humanity is huddled underground. 500 civilians under your protection, and the surface apparently has a new and terrifying monster ruling it, which is an issue seeing as the survivors are nearly out of food. This is all anyone can ever remember, including the professor. Eventually fighting to the surface, you see the new enemy type that turned the tide of war so drastically. They're called the Cruel, squids with shields and multiple weapons. But more than that, they're proof that the aliens can change the past to make things worse. There's only one thing to do: make a desperate attack on the ring. That's right, we aren't just time traveling, we are looping. The primers change the past, then we create an accident with their time machine that lets us follow them back and change the past ourselves. If this was just us, we may not be enough. But the professor loops as well, creating more and more powerful weapons as he grows his expertise alongside us. Gameplay-wise, this also explains why we unlock stronger weapons as we go. The professor is a simple man. He loves his wife, and he wants to save her. Whereas we, the player, seemingly just have an unbreakable will, everything he does is to try to find a future where his family can live. We return once more to the mission Turning Point, the same one that we had come back to previously. Only now people are noticing. We are way too good for someone who just enlisted. Practically before anyone even says anything, the ships appear and we're already taking them down. There's just one problem. Despite our increased skill, Turning Point is just too late to significantly change the war. This block of missions introduces a lot of endgame enemies that we simply can't beat yet. Their missions instead deal with just surviving. I won't spoil them all since they're not fully relevant, but here's a dragon. It all culminates in an assault on a walking fortress, where we once again afterwards jump 3 years into the future. Base 251, my beloved. You know how this goes by now. Except we also get the only jump scare in the game when we attempt to exit. Same story. Visitors 2. Giant ring. Things get worse, or were they always worse? The next day we find ourselves once more hiding underground, now with only 300 civilians instead of 500. The professor despairs once more that no matter what he tries, his wife dies again and again. Same deal. We want to recreate the accident. And it's at this point you may have realized something. We aren't only looping as many times as we played through. This game of temporal cat and mouse has been repeating, honing both our character and the professor into borderline superhumans at the cost of who knows how many iterations. The ring is different this time. Giant mechanical arms reaching out of it, attempting to fight back. But still, we fight through, and we are again thrown back in time. Only this time, we're thrown even further back. An important part of the pacing of EDF, all of them, is that some missions you are meant to lose. You fight just for enemy reinforcements to crash down, and HQ issues a retreat order. You win the mission, but narratively, you lose. Well, now we're back. Not at the very start of the invasion, but close to it, when we should be just a regular civilian. But we move and fight as though we're superhuman. There's a couple of missions of this, and then the professor hacks into the mission briefing itself and tells us, "I've been too cautious, go out and make a new history." And so, 5 months ahead of schedule, we bring the first flying ship crashing down, shocking the world. Next mission, the professor hijacks the briefing again, with a simple message: do whatever we want. Ship after ship is blown from the sky, as the soldiers who should be scared and hopeless instead see a legend in the making, seemingly fighting an army single-handedly. In these missions, they'll talk to you, and my favorite line is,
"I found a safe place! Behind them!"
Loss after loss is prevented, but once more things take a turn for the worse, as strange ships appear and win a battle the aliens should have lost. In a different mission, reinforcements fail to show, as the aliens intercept early, forcing a retreat. While we're making great changes, it's important to remember, so are the primers. This culminates with the EDF learning about a central control mothership parked under our moon. Finally, we have a real target to focus on to hurt the aliens' war effort. A rocket is loaded with as many nukes as it can fit, and sent off towards the moon. To make sure that the primers don't intercept it, the whole world launches an offensive as a diversion. We are, of course, in the middle of the action, reclaiming a captured city. It's hard fought, but the nuke damages the mothership, significantly ruining their war efforts. And with that, the screen once more fades, and it's 3 years later. Base 251 looks just like normal, but there's a few changes to notice. First and foremost, our armor doesn't quite look the same. Second, the professor actually managed to save his wife this time. The tutorial speech is once more interrupted, but not by an alarm. Instead, it's by the sergeant, who has always died previously, who proudly declares that we aren't a rookie, but a hero.
No new recruit. He's a hero.
Upon exiting Base 251, it's not a ruined cityscape that greets us, but instead, this. That's right, a futuristic mega city. We have done it. We successfully saved the world. Humanity is heading towards the total eradication of the aliens. But they're not done quite yet. The next few missions take place in this good future, but then once more you see the mission title, Visitors. Even knowing that they go back and change the past, we still can't prevent it. Leading into the next day, we snap into the underground once more, with only 100 civilians alive with us. The professor laments never being able to save his wife. If this is confusing, considering he was just talking about how he finally saved her, good. Part of why I love this time travel so much is the consistency of it. The professor, and thus your character, can't remember ever winning. You always recreate the accident from the loops in which you lost, because the primers change history, then, from the bad ending they create, you go back from there. The professor, no matter how many times he saves his wife, will never remember doing so. That big reveal aside, we also learn the primers themselves are from the far future, perhaps even hundreds or millions of years ahead of us, which leads to the big question. Why are they even attacking humanity when humanity should have no relevance to them at all? They are free to have the Earth. Humans died out long ago in their time. We don't get those answers yet. At this point, you know the drill. Get to the ring, recreate the accident, deal with the flying kraken monsters that have totally always been there, and then, once more as the ring is destroyed, EDF 9 begins. And with it, so does EDF 5. That's right, over 100 missions into EDF 6, we get a tutorial, as we are brought back to the very first mission of EDF 5. After I learn how to walk around, and get asked why an event worker seems to have a working gun, our soldier locks the fuck in. We go on a mad dash through the base, while everyone is scrambling trying to figure out what's going on. We save the tutorial man, meet up with some soldiers, and then go ripping and tearing through the base, whilst everyone runs after us trying to keep us safe. The dash ends once we reach the walking fortress Balam. In the EDF world, they use these things as cranes, but later into the war effort, we discover that there is another good use for giant mechanical robots. The mission ends with the tutorial guy claiming that he knows the lift code. The next mission is meant to be your mandatory failure. You repel a wave of ants, only for dozens upon dozens of teleportation anchors to crash down and force a retreat. Only this time, as the teleportation anchors crash down and they signal a retreat, you refuse. The giant walking crane is lifted out of the ground, and while they question if you even know how to pilot that thing, you hop in and crush anchor after anchor. With this, the final loop begins. It's only one battle amongst the dozens happening around the world, but it is an overwhelming victory. The information that the walking cranes are effective in combat, who would have known, as well as taking down numerous ships right at the start of the invasion, gives EDF the information they need to win several crucial battles. Just to name one, there's a Godzilla that absolutely terrorizes the war effort for months originally. Only this time, on what is one of his first appearances, a walking fortress is dropped to bludgeon him away. Like this, the war continues. You aren't just an oddly skilled soldier, you're the hero they rally behind, bringing victory to every battle you enter. The aliens are so desperate in this timeline that they bring down their command ship from the moon to fight. It's a long and drawn-out battle, but in the end, Mothership Number 11, their central command, is destroyed completely. And with that, we once more skip ahead to 3 years into the future. Base 251 is still just as we remember it, but the good future has again come to pass. Only now it's better than ever. The final batch of future missions exist to be cool. Like when the giant mech brigade fights against a bunch of kaiju, and you get a special one with an Omega gun. But clearly this isn't relevant to time travel, so I definitely won't show it or talk about it at all.
Aggressive alien species Beta. Whoa! A king! A king's approaching! Largo 1, damage.
Anyway, all is well, except once more, the ships flee to the past, and seemingly the endless loops will continue, though the professor has a theory on how we may escape this. Since this is seemingly endless, so are the possibilities. We can bank on coincidence. On the main menu, you are given a message that the primers interfere with the past by sending ships, yet you don't unlock a new mission. Instead, if you go back through the mission list, there are multiple missions labeled with question marks that take place in various points in time. And in one of those missions, the ships that were sent from the future appear in front of you. That's right, all those times you heard on the radio about the appearance of strange ships, as you looped forever and ever, at some point they were bound to show up in front of you. It was inevitable. In a moment of pure catharsis, you crushed the ships from the future, preventing them from changing the past, and unlocking your final missions. We officially make it to the next day with our good ending intact. But it's not over. Nothing is stopping them from just trying again. We need to take down the ring for good. Not only that, the story has a big unresolved question. Why are the primers so desperate to destroy humanity? And how does this time travel story conclude without it being a paradox? The ring operation once more commences, except now there's no intention to recreate the accident, only to destroy it. 3 teams are deployed, the idea being that a multi-point attack will maximize the chances of making it to the ring. Your team is Storm 1. It's a brutal battle, but you managed to make it through. Unfortunately, the other 2 teams did not. Your team is the final hope for humanity. Yet instead of being scared, everyone has full faith in you. From their perspective, you aren't just a soldier. You're an undefeated hero, battling on the front lines for the whole 5-year span of the war. Pushing forward to the base of the ring, we once more blast it away. It does attempt to fight back with mechanical arms, but come on. How many times have we done this now? Is what I would say. But it turns out we were never destroying the ring. Instead, we were breaking one single control module on it. The ring rotates around the other way, exposing a completely new control unit. Once more, you have to fight your way through, ignoring the revelation that every other operation on this ring would have been doomed. Upon the second control unit's destruction, the ring flips one more time, now encircling the city. Dozens of mechanical claws appear, reinforcements from all points in time drop in, and the situation is becoming hopeless. Except, one soldier is still fighting, and the more they fight, it inspires everyone else to join in. One by one, the wounded, those from other countries, those from other units, the survivors that barely manage to hang on, show up on the battlefield to support you. There's one more central control unit on the time machine, floating dead in the center of the ring. To end everything, you just need to take that down. This is a long and hard-fought battle, but finally, the central unit is destroyed. Everything the ring brought in to fight you disappears, and the ring comes crashing down, encircling the entire city, and its thunderous landing creates a shockwave. Before humanity can really begin celebrating, however, a new portal opens, and a new, far more advanced ship comes from a wormhole. Shaped as a dragon, it flies around the city, and the mission ends with its intimidating presence in the sky. I've kept you waiting long enough. The final mission gives us every answer, and it's called the Scales of Time. As the dragon circles, potentially thousands of years more advanced than the ring, we realize something terrifying. Because the primers can time travel, they can always send stronger reinforcements from the future. We've also already seen the opposite is true. The past can be changed to affect the future. The primers are discovered to be from Mars, which should give them every reason to ignore us. So why the obsession? Why the desperation? Because they made a mistake. When the primers first invented time travel, they went back and interacted with humanity. The ancient scriptures of the Egyptians speak of gold ships and lights dancing in the sky. That wasn't a god. That was the primers. They arrived out of curiosity. Humanity was never a threat, except discovering alien technology is what led to the creation of the Earth Defense Force. Here's the problem. The primers cannot go back further to stop the EDF from forming, because if they do, they have no reason to invade. They erase the cause of their own actions. The past has to stay consistent. They must attack humanity at the exact point where they recognize us as a threat, not before. But that still leaves one question. Why fight us at all? Well, because in interacting with the past, the primers created a scenario where they could erase their own existence. And they're terrified of that, and desperate to correct it. In a self-fulfilling prophecy, as we battle the dragon, a final plan forms. Before we can hear it in full, the dragon freezes midair and explodes, revealing something far worse. A grotesque alien fused to the ship, the god of the primers. A fierce battle ensues, but this fight isn't how the war will be won. Instead, a ship is sent to Mars, loaded with pollution, nukes, radiation, every toxin imaginable. The goal is simple: make it impossible for life to ever exist on Mars. As we fight, the ship detonates. Humanity should win, but it doesn't. Instead, the primer god becomes stronger, because we've created our own paradox. If the primers never exist, we would never have a reason to destroy Mars. If we never destroy Mars, the primers will exist. The paradox has reached a critical point. From here on, time itself has to choose a side: the primers or humanity. The final battle comes down to you, Storm 1, as the representation of humanity against the representation of the primers. And it's not about cleverness or strategy, it's about which version of history survives the contradiction. And in the end, humanity wins. The primer god falls, their war is forced to end. History has locked itself in, and it's chosen humanity. The war with the primers happened, but the primers will never come to be. It took an uncountable number of loops through time, but Earth stands victorious. Is this a time travel plot without any plot holes? Almost of course not. But paradox stories are inherently illogical. What matters is consistency and how the story presents the time travel. And at every step, EDF6 plays fair with its rules. Seeing a series known for being silly and over the top tackle such a complex structure and actually stick the landing is something I never expected. EDF is niche. The controls can be clunky, helicopters don't even have a button to fly down, and the dialogue can be incredibly hammy. But underneath all of that is an oddly intellectual story that nails beats I've seen much bigger projects hand wave away. This is the best time travel story I have ever played. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, or leave a comment. I put a lot of work into this one, but I'm really happy with how it came out. And as always, once again, thank you for watching. See ya.